gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Source Material Comics podcast. And I am not here alone, all right? I thought to myself, who am I going to call? We're going to be talking about the Ghostbusters tonight. Jesse Starcher's not going to do that all by his lonesome. No, as a matter of fact, my goodness, Ronnie, I think, I don't know, we've at least talked the Ghostbusters twice. This might be our third time talking about the Ghostbusters on this show. So I said, Ronnie Adams, come over, hang out. We'll talk about Ghostbusters Displaced Aggression, this wasn't a book that I chose. Mark chose this book.
You know what happens when we let Mark choose things?
I wondered what I was going to get myself into. Did you even know this was out there before?
No.
Okay. So we're both fans of the Ghostbusters. You can go back into the archives and check that out. We're not going to rehash all of that here. But when we say we're fans of the Ghostbusters, we're talking about the film franchise. And we're also maybe a little bit of the real Ghostbusters.
Real Ghostbusters, man.
That's right. Throw that in there. The comics are something that we will read.
I never really knew the comics were out there.
I know IDW has had this license for a little while, but I've never picked up any Ghostbusters comics with the intent to read them other than for this podcast. So,
same.
With that being said, Displaced Aggression was not on my radar either. I was like, okay. And then I wondered to myself if Mark Radlich had some ulterior motives and knew what he was doing here, because when we get into this plot of this book, he probably knew it checked some boxes for me. I will go ahead real quick just to kind of set up the creative team. And this is going to be standard source material fare here. I'm going to go through the synopsis for the first two issues. We'll talk about some of the stuff that we liked, disliked, whatever. And then we'll talk about the last two issues, do the same thing. And then maybe we'll talk a little bit about our expectations for the movie, because even though we're recording this in August, I know that the last trailer that hit, got me excited to watch the Ghostbusters movie.
Heck yeah.
Before I get into the creative team here, anything you want to set out there on the table about the Ghostbusters, the IDW Ghostbusters? The floor is yours before we get into the meat of what we're here to do.
IDW is really good about doing pretty good stuff with the stuff I grew up on. G.I. Joe. They did G.I. Joe for a while. They've done good jobs with making comic books on stuff that, that is a little closer to home for me, as far as what I grew up on and what I watched when I was a kid. And so I wasn't too worried about this one, if that makes sense.
Yeah, sure. I feel the same way. I think you and I, one of the probably, I'll say the most challenging IDW series that you and I had the chance to cover in our long podcast history here on Source Material was the huge crossover event that they did, bringing all the toys together. Transformers, G.I. Joe.
Yeah, that was crazy.
As much of a fan of crossovers as I am, watching that unfold on the pages and us talking about it, I could tell we weren't the biggest fans. But other stuff that they've done that we've read, I've enjoyed. So I didn't know what we were going to be getting. I knew it was Ghostbusters, Displaced Aggression. I didn't know. I couldn't even figure out what they meant by Displaced Aggression. I was like, is he angry, but he shouldn't be? Or
well,
somebody's angry?
I saw it, I was like, as soon as I realized what it was, I was like, oh yeah, this is Jesse.
So the creative team here, just to kind of run it down, we have Scott Lobdell's writing this. Now, he is a name that I've heard plenty of, and I'll just kind of run down some of his accolades here from the wiki. He's been on Buffy the Vampire Slayer. He's been on Gen 13. He has, I remember his name a lot. He was definitely on the X-Men. Okay. Notable works. X-Men, Generation X, Red Hood and the Outlaws, Teen Titans, Superman, Alpha Flight, Happy Death Day. There you go. That's Scott Lobdell. Wrote for Marvel and DC. The art and colors done by Elias Kiriazis.
Easy, buddy.
Easy for you to say. Lettering by Neil Uatake and edits by Tom Waltz and Chris Ryle. Now, that's straight off of the inside cover here for Ghostbusters Displaced Aggression. Now, this was published between September of 2009 to December of 2009.
That synopsis is coming up, but first let me talk about Amazon Music. If you're looking for a good platform that can fill those musical needs, Amazon Music has you covered. If you head to getamazonmusic.com/W2M Network, you can get a free 30-day trial where you can check out over 70 million songs. That's getamazonmusic.com/W2M Network for that free 30-day trial.
So the Ghostbusters. I mean, you and I, Ronnie Adams, know who the Ghostbusters are.
Oh, absolutely.
We got Peter Venkman. We got Ray Stantz. We got Egon Spengler. All right. Now, those three Ghostbusters have been scattered across time. Winston, he's been left in present day New York. But the other three, Peter Venkman, Ray Stantz, and Egon Spengler, have been scattered throughout time by an entity.
Winston always left behind.
They were scattered throughout time by an entity called Gozer, who just so happens to be the father of Gozer. You remember Gozer, of course? Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. Our first issue focuses on Pete, who has been stranded in the Old West and has made a name for himself saving local citizens from horrible haunts. Luckily, when the GBs were sent away, they were able to take their equipment with them. A lady by the name of Rachel Unlighter appears out of thin air with the Ecto-10, explaining she was a student of Egon's and has since become a member of the resistance to Kozarai's rule. She's been able to modify the Ecto-10 to travel in time and is there to rescue Pete to take him back. Pete enlists her help to take out some ghosts to save the town and hops in the Ecto-10, with their next stop being medieval England to rescue Ray Stantz. Arriving at their target time period, Rachel and Pete find King Arthur, who says he knows Ray personally and he's been helping Camelot with some spectral fire-breathing dragons who have taken a bunch of his people prisoner. When Rachel and Pete agree to help Ray rescue the citizens of Camelot, they find that the demons and ghosts are attempting to bring back Morgan Le Fay into this dimension and have partially succeeded, as she is almost corporeal. Through some trickery, Pete is able to convince Morgan he wishes to join her side. However, when he gets close enough, he overloads a proton pack at her feet in order to weaken and capture her. Ray says his goodbyes to a thankful King Arthur as they fly the Ecto-10 into time. So that's our first two issues here. We got Pete's in the Old West. They got to go back, get him. Then Ray's in the medieval times. We got to go and grab him. But in each issue, they just got to kind of take care of whatever challenges they face at that time and then move on. The wild card in all this, and I'm going to throw this to you, Ronnie. We have this character, Rachel Unlighter, who shows up. I just want to ask you, I mean, in these first two issues, what were your thoughts here of this character?
I had to check when this was actually published, because I thought at first, when I first saw her, I was like, it's the one from the Women Ghostbuster movie.
Yep. I thought the same thing when I was looking at her. I was like, wait a second, but I don't believe that that was the character, right? She wasn't.
No, okay. So before I get canceled, I do not find anything wrong with that movie because the lead characters are women. Yeah. No, in fact, I was kind of looking forward to that fresh take on it, and just going from there. But in my opinion, the cast was lacking, the writing was terrible, and it just wasn't a good movie.
Yeah, this was like, okay, so this came out in 2009, and
yeah, so I was like, oh, okay, yeah,
that was what we're talking like.
2016.
Okay, so yeah, so we're a good ways before. One of the things I didn't understand that happened, and I had to read it twice because I thought like something was wrong with the issue I was reading. She mentions she's a student, and then what ends up happening is Ray's like, what do you mean? Egon never taught at whatever university it was. He stopped at so-and-so. And you see her eyes like turn fiery red, or all of a sudden like time repeats itself.
Yeah.
We go back like 30 seconds. We go back like 30 seconds. We see that same conversation, and all of a sudden Ray's perfectly fine with the explanation that Pete gives him.
Yeah.
So what do you think?
Ball of what the crap for me too. So like it was good. I'm not completely sold on it yet. When it comes to stuff like this, I'm very open, to what they're going to do, but it better be really good. And thus far, this was okay. It was a little too Turtles in Time for me.
Yeah.
the third Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie. So, but so far, I mean, like, okay, they started doing something with it. I mean, it was fun. I mean, it's fun so far, and I maybe want to see where they were going to go with it afterwards. So I mean, it kept me going, but it's just like, I was looking for something a little more, I don't know, a little closer to home as far as Ghostbusters.
Yeah, it's definitely different seeing the team scattered across time. We got this new character coming in there. We really don't know if she's who she says she is. She's obviously got some kind of power of some sort. I don't know what in the world's going on at this point with the first two issues. It's almost kind of like cookie cutter too, these first two issues. When it comes to like the time periods, like, okay, Venkman's in the Old West. Where we going? I mean, if you would have said, where do you think they're going to go next? Gave me 3 guesses. I bet you I would have said, well, they're probably going to go to medieval times next. And that would have been, just because I was like, I bet you that's what's going to happen. Gozer, I mean, had you ever heard that name before?
No.
Okay. All right.
They did mention, of course, they mentioned Gozer. They also mentioned the big bad from the second one. What is his name?
Vigo,
yeah.
Morgan Le Fay was in. I mean, Morgan Le Fay was also, of course, we're talking King Arthur. They had to throw in some of that legend in there. Mm-hmm. So that was pretty neat. But, these first 2 issues also as well. The Ecto-10, I'm not used to that name, but obviously...
No, that was weird.
Yeah. But yeah, it's muscling in on my DeLorean territory.
It really is. It really is. And then what's with the black and yellow, the black jumpsuits and the green, the yellow gloves?
Yeah, I have this feeling like we are in the middle of continuity.
Something's not going right here.
We're not. Yeah, this is not like a one-off. Hey, it's a whole new Ghostbusters tale. This feels like, okay, there was definitely some crap that hit the fan before this issue, before this storyline, and they were like, okay, how are we going to write that? How are we going to write the next chapter of this story? All right, we'll just do a 4-issue miniseries of it. I wonder if Rachel had potentially appeared in previous issues to this.
Maybe.
Well, you know what? Let's just go. Let's go to the internet and find out. Rachel.
Why not, right?
Yeah, appearances. IDW's Ghostbusters Displaced Aggression, issues 1 through 4. And then she was also in Ghostbusters Crossing Over, issues 6, 7, and 8. There is apparently issue 6 of volume 1 of the Ghost ongoing series. So she feels like she has this huge history, or at least, you're kind of like, okay, what is her motivation? What is she doing? Why is she here?
As far as the first 2 issues go, I mean, like I said, they weren't anything crazy special, but they were fun. They were good.
All right, well, let's go ahead. We'll get into issues 3 and 4 here then. Pete, Ray, and Rachel arrive in the future, and I think it's actually on Mars, to find Egon. So now, I wouldn't have been able to predict this, okay?
Right, yeah. This is where it lost me.
When mingling on the streets trying to find Egon, suddenly an alarm sounds and everyone scatters for cover. Thousands of small demons drop from the sky but are smashed against a force field. When the threat passes, Egon's face appears as a hologram telling the people they are safe. Egon is looked on as practically a god. The team is taken prisoner for not bowing to him and are going to be taken to him personally to determine punishment. When they get there, there is a very Wizard of Oz feel as a large as a large hologram of Egon's head hovers over them. But when they finally find the real Egon, he has no idea who they are. So they do the next best thing and punch him in the face to knock him out and take him back to the Ecto-10.
Like you do.
You do. Narrowly escaping, they get him out of the future and back to present-day New York, where Egon regains himself, stating he suffered from chronological dysplasia and wants to get back to his lab. However, it lies in ruins with the rest of the city thanks to Gozer using his demonic forces to take over. Side note here for issue 3, like I said, Winston is in present day. He's actually trying to protect the people of New York and is apparently hoping, he obviously knows who Rachel is, and he's kind of hoping that she comes through. There's a bit of history there, and we see Winston who he's got a sledgehammer and he is cleaning up the town, I guess you'd say. When the sledgehammer protected the people.
It was like a John Henry vibe,
Very much. So going into issue 4, Ray figures out that Gozer is attempting to align the Stonehenge stones, which have been transported into Central Park, in order to perform a ritual to send everyone into the depths of Hades while swapping places with the demons and ghosts that are already there. When they tell Egon about how Rachel saved them, he attempts to tell them he does not know who she is just before a squad of demons interrupts and captures them. While in their cell, a sewer grate pops up and Winston Zedmore appears with their proton packs and equipment. When the trio finally begin to question Rachel, Winston steps in and explains that even though she has her secrets, he trusts her with his life. Escaping, the team split up to try to fight the demons and destroy Stonehenge. During the chaos, Rachel finally tells Peter that she is the half-sister to Gozer and stepdaughter to Koza Rai. And rebelling against her family, she used her own power to get the Ecto-10 through time. When Rachel grabs one of the still roped up stones, she lets it loose and it crashes into another, causing the Stonehenge formation to fall like dominoes. This pulls the demons back into the portal, but also pulls Rachel in as well. When the portal closes, New York is back to normal, and the GBs celebrate. So the Ghostbusters have saved the day. We have Rachel. We finally figure out that she's a demon, or half demon, or whatever.
Whatever Gozer was.
Yeah, whatever Gozer was.
Gozer was a god, wasn't she?
Either a god or a demigod or something like that. Let me just real quick before I forget. I want to talk about just the small, tiny little epilogue at the end of episode 4, issue 4, which is called and get this. This is great. It is titled Secretary Extraordinaire Janine in Working Overtime. So this was written by Elias Kyriazis, illustrated by Michael Dialinus. All right, so get this. Pete, Ray, and Egon weren't the only ones sent across time. Janine was as well. She ends up in like 1700s France, if I remember right.
Looked like it, yeah.
And she's trying to make the best of it. She's also got some of her some of the Ghostbusters equipment. So she goes around very similar to what Pete was. Well, the rest of the Ghostbusters were doing. They were cleaning, taking care of some of the ghosts around there. And she ends up finding the ghost of Leonardo da Vinci in the attic of this castle or something. And she convinces him to help her continue to invent stuff. And she becomes like the Ghostbusters of this era and puts together this team. And as her team grows in numbers and experience, they are called into a large slime entity that has covered the village. And when they arrive, Janine finds the Ghostbusters have appeared and have come to bring her back to the present, which had me scratching my head.
Yeah.
Because Rachel was the source of the time travel. I'm pretty sure she was the one using her own power to travel, get the Ecto-10 to travel through time. So I didn't see Rachel at all in this story. And so it made me think okay, well, if she was the one, did Egon just decide to invent time travel? I didn't know.
I mean, like you do.
I know. I was like, I didn't know. I had no idea. Unless maybe Rachel did something to the Ecto-10 as well that allowed it to go through time. She was saying she was using her own power, but either way.
Yeah. This one, I'll be honest with you. I knew there was a chance you'd say something about it or you want to talk about it. I just decided not to read it because I read the first couple panels. I was like, I don't think I'm going to like this. And I hate to be that guy. I really do. But I was just like, let's stick to the main storyline here, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, it's just extra. There is nothing that happens in this that's as of consequence, other than I think Janine may have. She had relations with a pirate, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay.
That was weird.
But anyway, so, okay. Yeah, let's go back to the main story. What do you think of issue 3 with Egon being the Wizard of Oz and a bit of an ego on him there?
That makes sense. Not the ego part. That's what I want to talk about that too. It does if you lose who you are.
Yeah.
I mean, you slap a silly word on it and that explains everything. I've always had a soft spot for Egon.
Mm-hmm.
So it was kind of cool to see him be that guy. I don't know. It was like this whole thing kind of struck me weird.
It was weird. It was strange to see him now he wasn't like this horrible.
Oh, he wasn't like a giant douche about anything, but yeah.
It was like, you guys, I just want to let you guys know I saved your life for the 1,000th time. It'll be nice if you kind of showed me a little gratitude. Of all the things, he uses the Wizard of Oz thing, which is pretty funny. We're going to go show you our master. And everybody on Mars is just perfectly content with just this hologram head being there and being the ruler, apparently. I will tell you that with Rachel, I wanted to know more. And just looking at what we got, this character seemed to add a little bit more to the story. And I wouldn't mind having her around for a little bit longer. But I mean, by the end of the 4th issue, she's gone. She looks like she's
out.
Yeah. I mean, I think she just gets pulled back into the portal, but still, I'm like, it's almost like they don't even acknowledge the fact that she's gone. New York's, I mean, they kind of do, but New York's back to normal, and the Ghostbusters are like, this is the end of the first movie. You know, they're down on the street, and they're celebrating with the rest of New York, and they're having a good time. And not only that, but Gozer, who I thought had like turned New York into this hellscape. I thought that was like something he had done after years of rule. But as soon as they beat him and pull him into the portal, everything changes. I was like, okay.
Oh yeah.
I guess I read too much into this, wanting it to be more than it actually was.
Me too. I completely agree with you on that. I wanted Ghostbusters, like film quality comic book out of this. When I should have known I was going to get comic book quality comic book out of this. You know, it was good. Don't get me wrong. It left me wanting in some places. You can't. I'm not asking for like a Citizen Kane out of every movie, or Pride and Prejudice, or War and Peace out of every comic book. It's just one of those things where I'm like, a little more story wouldn't be bad.
4 issues,
more depth to the story.
Agreed. 4 issues, it seemed like it was really quick. Maybe there's just, we got Gozer. Maybe there's this huge continuity that's happened before this.
Right, and we don't know about it.
We don't know about it. But the thing is that, look, if you're bringing people in to Ghostbusters Displaced Aggression issue 1, what you need to have is on that back of the front cover or that first page. You definitely need one of those things that says the story so far.
Yeah, and absolutely.
It says, oh, Gozer happened. This happened so and so, and Winston and all of them. This is what happened. What I thought initially when we opened this up, I thought we were going to get like a Black Label or a what if version. Of the Ghostbusters. Like, what if the Ghostbusters were in the Old West? They were Old West and old timey guys. And I was like, okay, well, and then all of a sudden I see, what's funny is I believed that at first because I was going down through it and I'm like, oh, this, or the proton pack that Venkman has on his back looks like a really old, something that Doc Brown invented.
Right. The wooden frame and all that good stuff. I mean, it's really cool, but you find out that, he had to invent his own stuff, his own, containment unit and everything. So,
which that's another thing. Like, look, maybe I don't give Venkman enough credit, but
I know where you're going with this. And no, you're right. I mean, like, we're both pretty big
we know who these guys are.
Yeah, we know who they are. And Venkman ain't that guy.
Venkman is not the scientist. He is not the guy that put the containment unit in the bottom of the firehouse.
Right.
Here he's got this containment unit that's like a well, which that reminds me of the movie. I mean, this is 2009. We're reading this, and I'm like, I remember in the shot in the movie that's upcoming where the ghosts are coming. It looks like the ghosts are coming out of the well. Anyway, it reminded me, or he was putting stuff in a containment unit, and I'm like, okay. And then the what if thing kind of passed, and I'll tell you where it happened. There was this panel after he met a nice lady. They stayed the night together. So he's sitting in this bathtub, and he's talking to this girl as she's getting dressed. And the girl says, "Doctor, that was amazing." He says, "I get that all the time. That and how did you get my number?" And I'm like, whoa, wait a second. There's no phones back then. What's going on? And that's when I realized, this is time travel. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, now I get it. But anyway, that's what I thought we were initially getting. I thought we was going to be getting what ifs, and that was not the case. But yeah, it's just like you said, it's kind of like here we are. This is what happened. We got somebody to help us out. She's the thing that has to be there in order to get these guys back together.
Right. Yeah.
And I'm like, at least give me a little something.
Yeah.
To kind of go off of. I mean, seeing her kind of reset time was neat. And I was like, oh, she's evil. This is not going to be good. She's there to torture them. That's not the case. She's just trying to hide what's going on. We don't learn about these secrets other than at the very end. Oh yeah, hey, I'm the Gozer's half sister or something. And I'm like, okay.
All right. That was dumb.
And then she goes. There she goes. She's disappearing into the portal. All right.
And then they kissed. It's like some guy watched or somebody watched Ghostbusters, said, "Hey, that was pretty cool. I'd like to write something like that." Attempted to write Ghostbusters. and did not write Ghostbusters. Basically, in my opinion, what you're doing is just regurgitating all in the movie, and then you're doing a whole time travel thing on there. No offense.
None taken, I guess.
Ghostbusters were never really Ghostbusters never really did time travel. And they were like, yeah, this should be fine. This is fine. Everything's fine. Like the meme of the dog sitting there with the whole house on fire. And he's like, this is fine. And it's not that serious because overall it was a fun little comic book. Just to me wasn't Ghostbusters.
The biggest thing that you get out of this is Gozer is related to Gozer somehow. The rest of it is just them fighting ghosts. You don't get any history. I mean, when you and I did Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and the Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
Now everybody's got to get their stuff in. Turtles have got to say cowabunga. The Ghostbusters, you know, Egon and Donatello, or Ray Stantz and Donatello have got to team up at some point because they're the smart guys. But that was very similar here. Like there was some we got to get our stuff in sometimes, but
do the thing. Oh yeah, who you gonna call?
And you don't get a really fleshed out villain. We got that in the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
We knew who that villain was, and we got a good background as to who it was and what their motivation was. Gozer is just like, hey, it's almost like he's just there for them to beat, and that's it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, absolutely. I agree with that.
That's all there is. But I mean, I read the book. I wasn't completely taken out of it in any way. I enjoyed what I read. It's just, this isn't something where I'm like, man, you got to read Displaced Aggression. You wouldn't believe what happens in that one. Nothing happens in it, really. Nothing happens. Well, okay.
Unfortunately, that is true.
What'd you think of the art? I mean, we've criticized.
The art was actually really good. I was surprised by that.
Yeah, I didn't mind it at all. There wasn't anything it's what I expect from IDW. We'll just put it that
absolutely.
Way. It's what I would expect, and I didn't have any issues with it. We're done talking about the book. I want to know: are you excited for Ghostbusters Afterlife?
I am, man. I'm a Paul Rudd fan. I think he's got a Dorian Gray thing going on because he doesn't age.
Yes.
He can carry a movie and make it good.
Yeah.
And that's what they need. They need somebody to be able to carry this movie and make it good.
Well, I can tell you my daughter is a very, very big fan of Finn Wolfhard.
Oh, yeah. He's a good actor.
She took pictures and printed off pictures of him. She had a pillow made with him on it.
Weird.
Yeah, she's that big of a fan. Should have never showed her Stranger Things. I shouldn't say that. That's a good show. But anyway.
Show. Big fan of him. Big fan of that entire show and those kids. I think they're great. I think they're great little actors and actresses. I think he's going to be amazing in this show. Also, your daughter, I mean, you can tell she's really a fan because kids started out rough in that show. They legitimately called him Frogface in it. Yeah,
wow. Yeah, that's Kira. She identifies with the downtrodden and the outcasts. We've come to the end. I don't know what else to do. I thought to myself, I knew this was going to be a quick episode. I was sitting there, I was like, there's not much to say here. This is one of those, what does Mark call it? The death of Hawkman, where you just watch or you read what happens in front of you and you're just like, okay.
Yeah, he died.
Don't have all. Yeah, he died. He
died. All right.
You just don't have a whole lot to say about it. And that's kind of what this was. But regardless, I got you to read a comic book with me and talk about it.
Absolutely. That's what it's about right there.
That's right.
I don't get to hang out with you enough.
I know it. As if
you're back though, right?
Yeah. I by this time in November, I'm definitely back. Tell me about what you got going on, Ronnie Adams. I mean, you don't have to future plug yourself. All right. I don't even know what the hell just came out of my mouth.
I don't know what's going to happen in November. Good God. I'm not Mark.
Plugs.
Hey, it's plug time, and you all know what that means. This would be a good time to plug the sponsor of the W2M network, and that is Grammarly. For you, the listeners of Source Material, Grammarly is offering a free download of the Grammarly software. Grammarly's AI-powered products help people communicate more effectively. Grammarly helps you write mistake-free on Gmail, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and nearly anywhere else you write on the web. Grammarly corrects hundreds of grammar, punctuation, and spelling mistakes while also catching contextual errors, improving your vocabulary, and suggesting style improvements. To download Grammarly today, go to getgrammarly.com/W2M network. Again, that's getgrammarly.com/W2M network to download Grammarly for free.
In general, where the heck can people find you?
Man, I do a stream now. I went from podcasting to streaming. And I stream a lot of stuff, but mostly I stream Dungeons and Dragons. Yeah. I enjoy Dungeons and Dragons. It's a fun game. We actually, legit, I have a live play stream on Twitch. Our group is called Misfits and Miscreants, and we meet every other Saturday. The cool thing about it is it's a little bit of acting, a little bit of math, and a whole lot of just being dumb. On my channel, on my Twitch channel, let me do this easily. On my Twitch channel, you're going to find my big dumb head playing video games. Like, I've been playing Assassin's Creed Black Flag lately. A couple of Tuesdays ago, we had me and two gentlemen from Ohio. I can't remember what parts from Ohio they're from. Forgive me, but they live about an hour away from each other. Okay. Now, we met through an online convention. It's a convention, but it had to go online, called GaryCon, which is a celebration of Gary Gygax's life. Mm-hmm. Gary Gygax is one of the creators of Dungeons and Dragons. So we met online. They both played in one of my games that I DM'd online. I played in one of the others. I was like, hey, I got this group. I got this Discord. And so they joined the Discord, and we talk all the time. And I said, hey, you two, I want you two to come in. And we played, I was the keeper of arcane lore for a game of Call of Cthulhu 7th edition. If you know anything about Call of Cthulhu, nobody wins that game. Nobody. It was a lot of fun. You can check it out. It's still on our Twitch. I'm going to upload it to YouTube soon. We're going to be playing some board games, like some card games, things like that. There's a fun one called Bang that we play. There are some other board games. We just want to bring a lot of gaming content to the channel, and we're getting that way. So there's going to be multiple role-playing games going on the channel, and then some other stuff to fill in, and then you'll see my big dumb head playing video games every once in a while.
It sounds like a good time, for sure.
It's a lot of fun. We base everything out of our local game store here in Burlington, North Carolina, called Hypermind. Hypermind is an amazing store. If you're anywhere in the Triad area, stop in, see Denise, the owner, or whoever's running the store that day. I have no life, so I'm usually there.
You have definitely contributed to some previous shows. I know that you were on... Oh, what was it called? Mythica?
Oh, yeah. Mark wanted to was asking, hey, what do you want to do? What do you want to do? And everybody was taking all, like, quote unquote, the good stuff that I wanted to do, like the Marvel movies and all that crap. And I get it because, I semi-retired my podcasting microphone. But then I was like, what the crap? Go outside the box. I said, hey, Mark, you up for watching 5 movies? Let's do the Mythica series. And they're only about an hour and a half long. They're no more than 2 hours long. I don't think there is one that's 2 hours long. And Mythica is just a series of movies that is like the perfect Dungeons and Dragons scenario, like the perfect role playing. I mean, like the perfect campaign. Great storytelling with Sci-Fi Movie Network budget. Sci-Fi Network movie budget. It actually, the big bad guy in it is actually Matthew Mercer, who is a voice actor also, not just a voice actor, but he is from Critical Role fame, where he is the dungeon master. He is considered one of, if not the best dungeon master in the world, where he would say, no, I'm not. You're just as good as me. Everybody's different, which I appreciate out of him. But it was silly. It's fun. It's good. It's not you want to win any awards, that's for sure. Just a good time. So Mark actually really enjoyed it, he said. Yeah. And so I was really happy to expose him to that. So I was on Mythica. I've been on I was Sweet Tooth with Mark.
That's right.
So we did the comic and the show.
I appreciate you coming on the show. For myself, I do a podcast called Unspoken Issues. It's a 90s podcast. Anybody has the opportunity to go check that out. We're like closing in on episode 40.
It's okay.
Yeah. Well, episode 40.
Sorry.
episode 40, and I can tell you that we just one of the most recent episodes I completed and uploaded was on Transformers Generation 2.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're a Transformers fan, Generation 2 may make you think, oh man, Optimus Prime and all of them are just kind of tossed to the side now. No, that's not the case. This one still focuses on Optimus Prime, Megatron, their war against each other, and then a new threat arrives. So, and that's our long form of this thing. We did the first 6 issues recently, and the last 6 issues should be coming out the week after that.
Okay, Jess, yeah, you got me. Like, I want to listen to him, but who's the new threat?
oh! Did I tease it a little bit there?
A little bit.
Yeah, it is the new threat. Yeah, solid. You don't have to pick up the issues. You can listen to my podcast. Issues 1 through 6 right there are on the archive and in the archive at the same time.
I was legit asking who it was, but I guess I'll have to listen to it now.
It's. You ever heard of that one?
You didn't have to tell me. I mean, we don't want. You're giving away the milk without buying the cow.
All edit it out. Obviously, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bleep myself.
Yes, I was going to say you need to bleep that, so leave our banter in.
Anyway, yeah, you can go check that out. And hey, by the time this airs, I guarantee you the other episode that we did a 2-episode feature on. Well, it was a 2-episode feature. We let people vote on what content we're going to cover. So what we usually do is we put a poll up of some 90s comics, and we read one issue. So Armstrong's like, I'm going to throw up Dugman number 5 versus Rocco's Modern Life number 7. And I'm like, I don't even know what the hell these things are. I know Rocco's Modern Life is a cartoon, and so was Duckman. It ended up being a tie somehow. 10 people each voted for each one. So we were like, okay, well, I guess we covered both issues. We covered both issues, and they were silly. I will tell you that much. But they're from the 90s, and they're animated comics, animated characters. Both anthropomorphic, too, which I don't think he meant to do that. And I don't think he meant to choose the last issue for each series. I think he was just choosing random issues, and we found out that they were both the last issues of each series, which is pretty crazy. But anyway, I'm not plugging anything else. I just know that Ronnie Adams, it's been good to have you back here, and it's good.
Absolutely, my friend.
Well, for Ronnie Adams, I'm Jesse Starcher. We'll be catching you next time on the Source Material Comics Podcast. Have a good one. Bye-bye. Bye.
Thank you all for joining us. Make sure to give that Rattlich in Broadcasting Facebook page a like to stay up on top of all the great podcasts we have to offer. We are at home on Spreaker, but you can also find us on iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn Radio, and recently we have hit the air on Spotify. Find your favorite podcast platform and type in RADULICH to subscribe for some great content. If you enjoyed this show, please feel free to share and spread the word. And as always, we appreciate any feedback and look forward to entertaining you again soon.